Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We're going to work our way through dollar yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. And if you guys need any help, check out finding-value.com. We do still have that discount going on. September is the coupon code. It's going to end soon. So I would probably hit that up if you want to try it out at a 50% discount for that first month. We do have a 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Saturday question and answer session, which is tomorrow. So I'll see you guys there if you're a part of the community and want to join. Let's dive in. I'll give you my financial opinions. We've got the DXY. We've come up into this corner, and we had some selling pressure this morning. It kind of came down this morning, and that has reversed and basically is ending the day flat. So we're holding on in the apex of this. We'll call it rising wedge, or I'll extend it out a little bit. We're in the apex of this thing. It's hanging on by tooth floss. I think this could potentially break lower, potentially, but again, we'll see. We have not broken either direction. We were trying to break higher, came back in the pattern, tried to break lower, came back inside the pattern. So we're firmly within the pattern. It is a rising wedge, and generally speaking, that generally breaks to the downside on a rising wedge. Looking at yields, which is also the driving factor of some of this, we broke out to the upside and then broke back down. What's that? Broke back mountain or whatever the heck this thing is. We went to accelerate to the downside, and it came back up throughout the day. So if we were to look at this, you can see we really accelerated to the downside here, and then we reversed. We reversed on higher here, and we are still in that general area of support. So again, we're going to have to get some more data, get some more days behind us, and see where exactly this is going. Some people think that the bond market is basically screwed and that this is going to continue higher, which would invert the yield curve continually, and that we have a bond crisis. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, and we'll see what happens over the next few weeks. TNX also lower, but still above support. Still looks good to go higher. And TYX in the same situation. We've broken that to the upside. And I think over time, it still looks good to grind higher. So perhaps the entire curve grinds on higher with time. TYX-TNX ratio, it was cruising in the beginning of the day, but we did come back down a little bit throughout the day. That ratio, and what that ratio is measuring is the yield curve inversion, uninversion. Right now, we are massively inverted, and we haven't uninverted yet. When it uninverts, that's generally when we see gold, silver, and platinum take off, the precious metals. So we're still inverted, and we're still holding steady. Bond prices also holding steady. So we're kind of holding steady on yields. We're holding steady on the yield curve inversion. We're holding steady on the dollar today. We started the day pretty strong in gold, silver, and platinum. That's what these wicks are at the top, but it reversed throughout the day. It does look very interesting, is what I'll say. Why do I say that? Usually what you do is you come on down and you start going sideways for the most part, right? You gain up strength, and then you start to break higher. This selling pressure is a little bit weird. That it's almost as if someone really hit this with a hammer to the downside. And then we broke, we had, oops, let me throw a better tool here. We just ripped through that pattern there to the downside. So maybe it's the end of trend type move. We'll see. Yields, again, yields are not favorable for gold at the moment. I still think they could go higher. And here we are breaking back down with gold to the downside. So we're not quite squared where the conditions are right for gold to go higher yet. Silver was ripping it this morning, just ripping it here. You can see the wick on the top here. Very weird that you get a wick the size that large. It went up all the way, I think, about 4+%. And then it reversed and we ended lower 1.5%. That's a stark reversal there. What's interesting is we came on down and, we were slowing the momentum and then we turned and came back up. This was not a slowing of momentum. There was no turning here. So if you were to look at this, guys, and I'm just going to kind of point some stuff out. Usually when you turn, you get patterns. Like they come up, they peak, they go down, they kind of relax, and then they move around. You come back down, it peaks, it comes back, and you get like these sections where you kind of like sit for a little while, right? What's up with this? Like there's no like if this is just a turn and just a straight like selling pressure barrage of selling in like seconds. So it is a little bit weird. Could it be manipulation? I don't know. It looks pretty weird to me. That's what I'll say there. We've got platinum. Platinum was doing the same thing. It was ripping it in the morning, and then all of a sudden, you get this stark reversal out of nowhere, and it just turns on a dime and gets sold off heavily. So that happened in all of the metals. It wasn't just one metal. And then we have palladium. I know somebody wanted me to add palladium futures. Palladium is out of cycle right now. This is your consolidation down here. You've got the break of the consolidation. I do think we could come all the way back. Maybe even to $870 is a possibility for that retest. And I think that platinum could do triple, quadruple, maybe even 5 or 6x the price of palladium some point in the future. I still think this is in a downward trend, but we could put in a bottom here and try to turn higher or go sideways. Possible. XAU to gold ratio, it popped lower, but today it's up a little bit. All that means is that gold and silver outperformed gold. And remember, gold was down today. So we're going to see a little bit of selling pressure in the gold and silver mining companies as well. It just went down less. CRB index, again, it sold off a little bit today. But overall, this thing still looks really good for a potential move to the upside. We've got the CRB to S&P 500. Again, I think we're going to move to the upside over the longer term, but we were down a little bit today. It still looks good. No reversal, no huge reversal candlestick to see here. I mean, we do have a bearish engulfing here and a little bit of a bearish piercing, but not much follow through, not much selling pressure. I'm not worried at this time. GDX down a little bit. Huge reversal throughout the day. Same with GDXJ, huge reversal throughout the day, and even SILJ, big reversal throughout the day. It started really strong, popped higher, and came back throughout that day. So the momentum is to the downside for the mining companies. It came back, and the momentum's coming back down. Crude oil down 0.92%. I think this is just a retest, guys. So if I were to zoom way in on it, that's what this candle or the trend line is here. It's just a retest, and we just retest here today. We came back, did a little bouncing off support, and we'll see if we can bounce off that support level and try to bounce to the upside. TTF gas still looks good to go higher. What makes me say that? All these big green candlesticks here, and this is all the selling pressure we can get out of it. So I think that's a flag pattern, something on the lines of that. If we were to zoom in. So here, let me go to the 5-day here. What happens is you get these big moves up, and then you just get a kind of profit-taking sideways move real slow. What that is it's just a flag pattern with the pull there. So again, I think it's a flag pattern. If we break to the upside, great. And everything still looks good for a potential move to the upside. We're just doing a retest with some slow selling pressure. Nat gas down a little bit. Again, I think eventually this will work its way up. We've got winter coming up, and that's generally this front runs the winter a little bit. XOP, we are getting some selling pressure here, guys. We could see a little bit of a pullback, and we have to see how strong that selling pressure is. This is a bearish engulfing. We are encountering resistance at this neckline trend line that we're at. This isn't new either. We encounter resistance here. We encounter resistance here and here. You can see that we had a little bit of a pattern right there. Broke to the downside, came back up. We're hitting that resistance trend line again. What does it mean? It means that there's just selling pressure here, and we may come back around or go sideways or something, and we're trying to break through that resistance of sellers. OIH is also experiencing a little bit of selling pressure, bearish engulfing, bearish engulfing. We are getting some selling pressure up here. We could pull back, very well possible, and we are up towards the upper end of that channel. We could pull back a little bit before heading higher. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, it is experiencing selling pressure, and we could see a pullback. Very possible. The pressure looks a little bit more obvious as we get a bearish engulfing today in URA. So this could pull back in the short term. Now, is this something that I would sell? No, I wouldn't. But we could see some selling pressure. URNM's got it too. That's that bearish engulfing. We also got it in URNJ, bearish engulfing, which means we could see a pullback in the short term. What that looks like if you zoom in on it, basically it's just a trend line that's being broken. So if I were to do a trend line up here, oh, might be holding on. It's close, guys. It was a hockey stick saved at the end there. So it's not broken up. We still have the trend line. The trend line's still intact. Here it is on the line chart. That's what I'm looking at. But the momentum is to the downside. So we got to see if the trend line holds and what it does bouncing on the trend line for at least URNJ. So there's that trend line, and there's that reversal kind of candlestick that we've encountered today. TAN down, again, $48. I'm not really doing anything with TAN anyway. It is a solar ETF, and again, I think it's highly tied to the input costs of the commodities itself. So I do think that solar is not the way out, but again, I don't believe in it, so I don't really have much money in it. I have a teeny bit just to kind of watch it. COPX, we're up a little bit today. We did see some movements in copper, but we're still within the bigger channel going on right now. Lithium's bouncing, but again, we lost momentum throughout the day. That's why it's a red candlestick. REMX also lost a little bit of momentum throughout the day, and we're right on support. S&P 500, a little bit of selling pressure here. That is a bearish piercing. We'll see if this heads lower. We'll see if it heads lower. So if we zoom in on this, there's your bear flag. And then we broke to the downside of the bear flag when you look at it from a very short-term price chart pattern. NASDAQ, similar pattern. It is a little bit of a bearish piercing, and we could head a little bit lower in the short term. So what this is your flag pattern or channel coming down, and it has broken to the downside. So we could see further downside in the short term. Emerging markets holding steady, much like the dollar's holding steady. It's just moving sideways for the most part. XHB, again, it looks almost exactly like S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. We could see some selling pressure. It is a bearish piercing pattern where it reversed throughout the day. There it is. And we were coming on up, and it reversed throughout the day, and the momentum's heading to the downside. So that's XHB, the home builders. MOO, also seeing the same kind of downward selling pressure day to day. So we'll see where that goes next week. Copper's actually, I mean, it was on fire in the beginning of the day, guys. Then that momentum came, and it broke that momentum. You can see we were on fire here. And then we came back down, put that little wick at the top on the daily there. So there's the wick. But it still looks good within the pattern. It's holding on there. Iron ore still looking good to go higher. That's on top of the pattern. That still looks good to go on higher eventually. Nickel, a little bit of an update today, but again, guys, I'm not jumping in front of this momentum. Still too much momentum to the downside. That could go down further. Aluminum ripping, that's looking really good. And a lot of the aluminum stocks were very strong today. This looks good to move on higher, guys. So aluminum's one spot that I would probably be looking. Baltic Dry Index down a little bit today, but overall, guys, this still looks very strong to continue up. Falling wedge, we're on the side of the falling wedge, and that's generally produces upward moves. Coal just moving sideways, but again, I think coal's in a good location. Nat gas is looking like it's trying to base. Coal, I think, is going to base here, and I think we'll start to move on up. Bitcoin down a little bit. There we are. That's that bloody nose. It looks like we could continue higher in Bitcoin and Ethereum right at resistance here, looking across underneath this and above these guys. So we're at a resistance area, resistance or support, however you want to look at it. It'd be support as we're coming back down. So it's at support as we hold the support level. But that's what I've got for today, guys. That's what I'm seeing in the markets. We could see a little bit of a pullback across the energy sector, which is possible. Again, I don't play the short term. I'm riding this to the upside. I'm not selling a thing. I am surprised at what the chart looks like for silver today. A lot of momentum coming out of that bottom there, and then it just turned out of nowhere. No slowing down, no pattern where it's like, you put in like a topping pattern, like a head and shoulders, a rising wedge, Batman pattern, anything, right? No, it's just straight down. It's just like boom, straight down. That does seem a little bit weird. It does scream like somebody was in there and just unloaded a bunch of paper contracts. Could be the case. Very weird. But that's what we've got for today, guys. And if you are interested in joining the website, you can do that. September is the coupon code. We're getting real close to the end of the month. So if you want to try that, you've got a couple of days left. We do have 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for the members tomorrow on Saturday. So I'll see you there. Bring your questions, and we'll have a lot of fun looking at some charts, looking at some opportunities in the markets here. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.